This is sports legends. We are so esteemed to have with us the legend, the announcer of all time, brother Ralph Cooper. And we're so blessed, and we look forward to information and just a history of sports. We're so glad to have you here. I turn it over to my brother, Jeff Walker, for the interview.
Mr. Coop, again, Ralph. I'm sorry, I'm still calling Mr. Cooper.
Yes, okay.
Ralph. Hey, been a huge fan of yours for many years, going all the way back to the 70s. I've been a fan of yours. Your voice has been like music to me because I was always a big, huge sports fan from the time I was about 12, 13 years old over at Miller Junior High School. And I remember hearing your voice. And that's when I really started becoming more and more of a sports fan. And so we've enjoyed you in Houston, covering all the various sports teams and everything. And you've been an inspiration to us all. And as a result, 3 years ago, I understand you were inducted into the Texas Radio Hall of Fame. Outstanding career. You started your career with KYOK in 1971, and then you joined KCOH in 84 when it was 1430. Of course, now it's 1230. So, Mr. Hardest Working Man, who was also a sports editor for the paper The Defender from 88 to 2018. And you also appeared on the Barb Allen's Tell It Like It Is TV talk show from 92 to 2015. So, wow, with all that said, Heavenly Father, my brother, Rap, you grew up here, right here in the city of Houston. You went to Sunnyside. You grew up in Sunnyside, and you attended Worthing High School. And you have interviewed many famous people, from Hank Aaron to Muhammad Ali to James Brown, to Earl Campbell, Sammy Davis Jr., Clyde Drexler, George Foreman, Red Fox, James Harden, Elvin Hayes, Walter Payton, Eddie Robinson. With all of that said, sir, who would you say is your best interview and why?
Okay, well, thank you for all of the things you just said. I really appreciate that. But I want to add this now. I started in 1969 at the Forward Times newspaper. They hired me and paid me they wouldn't let me do sports. They had a number of people doing sports, and they sent me to the courts, downtown to the courts in the city jail. I interviewed criminals, and I was pretty good at it. But anyway, long story short, when I started covering sports, the first covered the Astros. That was the first professional team I really covered, and then the junior high schools. They gave me the junior high schools back at that. So now, it's easy to say who's the greatest interviewer. The greatest probably was Muhammad Ali. But then we had Jesse Owens. See, most people, Jesse Owens participated in the 1936 Olympic Games, and he loved to be interviewed early in the morning. He would be at the radio station like 6 o'clock in the morning. He wants you to interview him, and you get a reality check, a wake-up call. He smoked. He died of lung cancer. He drunk, coffee was his thing. He would drink a lot of coffee. But those were two of the greatest ones. Then Satchel Paige. See, I interviewed Satchel Paige, and he paid me a compliment. He had a book coming out. And I asked him about 5 or 6 questions. He said, "Boy, I should have known you before I did my book. I'd have put you on the payroll. You asked better questions than the people I had who for my book." So that was a compliment. So you think about him, and then you think about the great Wilma Rudolph. You interview her at the Estonian Hotel early one Sunday morning. She comes down with no makeup on, nothing. You're looking good.
Okay. All right.
You're looking good, and that was in the 80s or 90s, or when the 80s, more like the 70s or 80s, and she was still looking good. So you think about all those kind of people, and then Don King, the boxing promoter. You think about him. You think about Archie Moore, the boxer, Moore. Then you think about Jim Brown, who said I was really doing his job. I was filling in for my own. And so you think about all Gail Sayers and a number of Joe Lewis. You You think, but the other one was probably Sugar Ray Robinson.
Sugar Ray.
Yes, oh yeah, he was something else. And then Sammy Davis Jr., you interview him at like 10 o'clock in the morning at the Western Oaks Hotel. You go over to interview Sammy Davis Jr. and you're waiting for him to come down. You notice they have two bars in there. At 10 o'clock in the morning, they come in, they got two bars and two bartenders. So the person handling his PR introduced him to me, and he said, well, come on, go here with me. We went to the bar. He said, you want to interview me, right? I said, yes, sir. He said, well, give us 2 double shots of Jack Black. Now, 10 o'clock in the morning. So he
10 o'clock in the morning. It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah, he said, you want the interview, right? I said, yes, sir, I want the interview. So I did the interview with Sammy Davis Jr. for about 15 or 20 minutes, maybe longer. And then the thing I remember was trying to get back home to go to bed, to knock off that double shot of Jack Black. So think about all that kind of stuff. And I know I'm missing some people, but you think about all those different type of interviews and had at that particular time.
What would you say was your most rewarding moment, the most rewarding moment of your career, and why?
Well, probably going to Africa. When you go to Africa, and I went to the George Foreman Ali fight. This is 1974, and I leave out of Houston, and when I get to Paris, I find out that the fight has been postponed, and I had never been to Paris. I was single. And I said, I'll never get back over here like this. Paris, Rome, and Madrid, Spain. And I had about $2,500, $2,800 and an American Express card and a round trip airplane ticket back to Houston the time I wanted to go back.
Okay.
So I told the people that I was with, one of George's brothers, Say Foreman, and well, not him, but Roy Foreman or whatever. I told him that I was going to walk out of the airport, Orly Airport. I was going to walk out the airport and go to downtown Paris and stay there for a week. And I'll see them in Africa in a week or so. So sure enough, they thought I didn't speak any French. I only spoke English and a little Spanish. So I walked out and asked the cab driver to take me to a Holiday Inn downtown. So on the way down there, he said he could speak English. He said he had a cousin or whatever who ran a hotel downtown Paris. The hotel is still there. It's called Hotel Mercedes. Hotel Mercedes downtown. You can Google it up. It's still there. The same front. When he took me there, he ran in to see if his cousin had a room for me. I guess he told me, I've got this Black American here. You want to have some fun. So anyway, he introduced. I went in and checked in. The man's name was Simon Fiosi. He was a little bit of Italian man, a little bit of Frenchman. I'm sorry, a little bit of Frenchman.
Okay.
And he said, Mr. Cooper, he put an S on my name. He was like you, Mr. Cooper. We have everything you want here. So what is that? We have the whiskey, the dope, and the women. I said, I don't do no dope and I don't do no whiskey, but the women, what time? What time? So sure enough, hey, that happened, and I could tell you some more stories about what happened in Paris. When I left Paris, I went to Madrid, Spain.
Yes, sir.
I was shown around going back to Paris. You have to be very versatile. I learned at an early age, you can interact with all kind of people, but you don't have to do what they do. So I ran into a gay guy while I was there. He was from Detroit. He had a dance school, and he said I reminded him of him when he was younger and came over to Paris with his dance group, and he stayed and started a dance school. And he said, how much Paris have you seen or something like that? I said, I haven't really seen anything. I've been in my room having fun for 4 or 5 days. So he asked this question, how would you like to see some of Paris? Would you like to see some of Paris? I said, yeah. So he said, would you like to see some of Paris with a gay guy? I said, as long as the gay guy understands that I like women. And he took me around. He had a dance school. He took me to his dance school and introduced me to even more ladies. But so Madrid, Spain, and Rome. I went to Madrid, Spain, and Rome before I went to Africa for the fight. And when I got to Africa, they wouldn't let me in the country. They didn't want to let me in the country because they see dictatorships. Some of us learned on I got on-the-job training in regards to dictatorship. Remember that $2,500 I had gone through that, sending gifts back home, having fun with new friends. So I get to Paris, I got $36 American money. I mean, Africa. I get to Africa, they stop me at the gate. They say, you don't. There you go. Accession expired. So you know what to do. So they said, you can still see me?
Yeah, we
Yes,
see
sir.
you.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyway, so when I get to Africa and I go to check into the country with my passport, they ask me how much money did I have. And I reached them, I said, we got about $36. They said, what are you gonna be, how you gonna stay over here with 36? You know how the Africans with the accent, how you gonna be here for $36? With $36 for, how long you gonna be? I said, till the fight is over, which was another month or so.
Ooh.
I told them I was with George Foreman. They didn't believe me. They treated me like a piece of crap until George was at work. They were training. And so nobody was in the hotel to to answer them and let them know that I was with them until later on in the day. So when they found out who I was, that I was really telling the truth, now they picked my bag up and put me in a limo like I'm some kind of rock star and take me to the hotel. So hey, I've had some, just wanted to share that story with you. That, I mean, how you can adjust to people. And I was a prince. Ali was a king in Africa. You're looking at the guy who was a prince in Zaire. I was actually a prince. Okay.
Ralph, what do you think was the deciding factor in that Ali Foreman fight? Since you were there, you got to see what the climate was like. What do you think? How do you think Ali won that fight? Because he was a huge underdog going into that fight. What do you think happened?
He adjusted. He made his trainer also, Angelo Dundee. You saw how loose the ropes were?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
A friend I had met there named Mike Prentice. He was with the Reuters News Service. We go out there to look at the ring and stuff. We see Angelo Dundee out there with a pair of pliers. And we not think he's unloosening the ropes.
Okay.
That rope-a-dope thing wasn't something Ali just fell off into like most people. Like he said, the man unloosened the ropes. He was out there unloosening the ropes early in the day, knowing that if those ropes were tight, those punches were going to have more of an impact. So the fight was won earlier in the day by Angelo Dundee, knowing that it was going to be hard for George to knock Ali out and that he was probably going to tire like he did. The fight was at 3 in the morning. The fight was at 3 o'clock in the morning over there.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was, and it was outside. It was held outside.
It was outside, yes.
Right. Right. Okay. Again, I'm still saying Mr. Cooper. I'm sorry. I'm accustomed to calling you Mr. Cooper. Mr. Cooper, what athletes are on your bucket list? I mean, you've been doing this for like 50 years now. Yeah. What athletes are on your bucket list as far as guys you would like to interview?
The guys that I did?
No. What athletes that are on your bucket list as far as guys you would like to interview? Guys who you haven't interviewed that you would like to interview that's on your bucket list?
Right now, C.J. Stroud, that's one of them.
Okay.
Stroud, who reminds me of C.J. Stroud is one. C.J. Stroud, been in on interviews, but never one-on-one. Dak Prescott is another one. And then you go a little bit deeper in regards to some of these interviews. Interviewed LeBron James with a group of people when he came here as a teenager out at Clear Lake. Way back when he was still in high school. He liked to do a one-on-one with him. And I notice I'm talking about one-on-ones now. And some people you've been in on interviews with them, with other people, but one-on-ones and Sha'Carri Richardson. Sha'Carri Richardson, the track and field star, who went through a lot and has seemingly turned her thing around. That's another. And Usain Bolt, possibly is another one that I would like to do. Yes.
Okay. Who would you say is the best all-around athlete that you have covered here in the city of Houston, as far as at the high school level?
The best all-around athlete, and you had several.
At the high school level. At the high school level that you have covered.
But the one is Lester Hayes. Lester Hayes could play everything. Lester Hayes out of the high school, he played basketball, he played football, he ran track. I think he played a little baseball. The other one was Carl Crawford, who ended up playing Major League Baseball, professional. He became a professional just like Lester did. Carl but was then Davis, now Northside High School. He played football, baseball, basketball, quarterback. He could do it. He could do everything. That's two right off the top of my head. Then you go back and you think about some of the other individuals. Johnny Bailey.
Okay.
Who never really got a chance to play high school football until the playoffs came around because he was so good. They were only playing him like a half a game, because of the team had so much depth and they were running past people. That's another one. Then you got Vince Young.
Okay.
Possibly do some of everything, going a little bit closer. You got, and I know I'm missing some people, but those are some. And then we had Otis Taylor at Worthing High School. Otis Taylor played, who should be in the Hall of Fame, played in the first Super Bowl with the Chiefs. And Otis Taylor could swim. He played baseball, basketball, football. He played all and swim and was a swimmer and track and field. Then we had another one out there who became a great coach here before he died young. You had two. Robert Shaw, who was at high school and ended up at Sterling High School as a coach.
Right.
These individuals could play. Eldridge Small was another one out of Wheatley. They could play everything. And then the other one is Coach Roland Rogers, who coached at Jones. Most people never know how great he was at Worthing also. Swimming, track and field, baseball, football, basketball. So those, and then you had Sloppy Joe. You never heard of Sloppy Joe, have you?
No, I never heard of Sloppy Joe.
I have. I've heard of Sloppy Joe.
Yeah, Sloppy Joe came out of Booker T. Washington High School here in Houston.
Okay.
He loved to sip wine, even before but he could do everything.
Okay.
So those are just a few off the top of my head.
Okay. Ralph, how do you feel? I know I was surprised, and I know a lot of people were surprised, but how surprised were you that Clyde Drexler ended up being as good as he was at the NBA level?
Well, you could see we were doing high school basketball back in the late 70s, early 80s. Clyde Drexler was at Sterling High School. Their coach showed up late for a game. And Clyde and a couple of his teammates actually were coaching the team. They had a lead. I forgot who they were playing. They were they were playing without a coach. And they had the team ahead. Coach came in, of course, they ended up winning the game, but the coach came and changed up things. But you could tell back then he was a great athlete. Clyde Drexler could have been a great football player, in my opinion, a great baseball player. He loved baseball. I think Joe Morgan was his favorite player. He could do some of everything, but he ended up in basketball. When he came out of high school, he was really just developing. And the University of Houston were lucky. Texas Southern recruited him while they were trying to get him while he was still in high school. But U of H came in and Guy Lewis. The rest is history.
Okay. What would you say was the best high school here in Houston? HISD. What was the best high school that you ever covered? Hoops.
Well, you got to go that to Wheatley. Wheatley.
Okay.
And then Yates was a close second. See, most people you only have one team going to the playoffs back in the day.
Right.
Wheatley and Yates were in the same district.
Right.
And Jones 1 year. I mean, they were all close. So Wheatley dominated in basketball. I mean, most people would never understand how Wheatley dominated, but they dominated beating outstanding teams. They beat great teams. They had a game where they played in old Jefferson Fieldhouse. I don't know if you're familiar with it in Jefferson.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And they played in like February of 1971, 57.
Okay.
No 3-point shot. No 3-point shot. The score ended up like 125 to 121. Regulation time, no overtime. When the game ended, I know you think I'm lying, but the two officials, Byron Johnson, Tiny Johnson, and Andrew Wiley, their shoes, the tennis shoes, were smoking. They had took the shoes off the tennis. Smoke came out of the tennis shoes.
Was that the team with Eddie Owens on it?
Yeah, that was the team with a young Eddie.
Yeah,
I think he was about to come on that. No, he wasn't there then. That was one
Was
of them.
Spider-Man on that team? Was Spider-Man on that team?
I think he
Russ
was,
Williams,
but they had
Gaylord.
George Stretch Campbell
Yeah,
and those
yeah.
people were on that team. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Eddie Owens may have been a freshman. They were all like
Yeah.
10th graders at that particular time. But they no 3-point shot and no whatever. But anyway, 125 to 1. That was the Wheatley teams were the greatest, in my opinion, covering the Wheatley High School basketball teams of Coach Jackie Carr and Tommy Tucker. They were the greatest.
Quick question, Uncle Ralph. This is not a question that was on the script, but this is a question I have to ask now. Did you attend that game between JY and Milby? This is back in the 79-80 school year when we had Michael Young and General Taylor, and they was the #1 ranked team in the state. And we went to play Milby over there in Barnett Stadium, and the final score was 14-10. This is basketball, 14-10. Did you have the pleasure of covering that game?
Yeah, that was the game where you had so many people in the building, they were sitting in the aisles. Now you know,
Yes, sir.
People
Yes,
were
sir.
actually sitting on the concrete in the aisles at that particular ball game. That was the game when Tommy Malone,
Yes, sir.
brain lock. Tommy Malone, and we loved him. God bless him. Tommy Malone was going to beat Coach Boyce
Yeah.
of the Milby team, and
Right.
this game was slowing the ball down. But Tommy
Right.
Malone took it to another extreme.
Exactly.
Slowed the ball down and ended up, you know what happened when they went to Austin, right, for the state championship. He tried that same thing on some people in Austin and lost the state championship.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
And a little FYI, we beat Milby that year at Austin. They were #2 ranked in the state.
Yeah, right.
Yes, we won.
yeah,
And Ralph, you was there because I had a lot to do with that game.
yeah. See, so you have all these great teams, and you had one year where when Yates won the state football championship in 1985 or 86, there was one team that was just as good as the #2 team was in Houston, Jones.
Okay.
Jones lost 2 games. And both times lost to Yates. They didn't lose to anyone else. They lost one game,
And
6-0. So we've had some great teams here.
That was a strange game as a fan to witness that game. I mean, you talk about JY win the tip and then hold the ball for the last shot of the quarter. I'm like, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
That was Tommy Malone.
Yeah.
And you had Ricky Winslow, Carvin Holcomb, and Stacy Belcher, and all them kind of people on your team.
Mm-hmm.
No, they weren't there yet. They weren't there yet.
This was 80.
Yeah, this was 80. They got there.
Michael Harris.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm talking about the team with Stacy. He was still doing the same thing.
Yeah, he did. They lost to
Oh,
Fort
he
Worth
did.
Pascal in Austin because I was there.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, he was still doing the same thing.
Same thing.
He thought he was going to beat those people at first and throwing the ball down.
And Pascal didn't have anybody over 6'5".
Right. And you got Ricky Winslow, Stacy Belcher, and
Mm-hmm.
Carvin Holcomb all on the same team.
And Tyrone Pink. They had a few other guys there.
Yeah, he had some great players.
He did.
Yeah, but he thought he could beat them at that game.
Tyrone's brother, Pink, the younger brother.
And the athletic director at that time wanted to choke him.
Okay, Ralph, let's talk about HBCU schools. We only had one player to get drafted into the NFL this past year from an HBCU school. Can you talk about that? What's going on? I mean, will the HBCU athletes ever get an equal opportunity at the NFL?
Well, you got the portal now, so it's going to be hard. If I'm correct, there was 6,000 to 9,000 football players who were in the transfer portal this year. 6,000 to 9,000. I want to say it's close to 9,000. So if you don't have any money,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to be. I'm looking now. You got the top 10 quarterbacks in collegiate football. They're going to the top 10 quarterbacks who are playing right now at some college. And you know what their asking price is? Anywhere from $1 million to $5 million. Black schools. What the black schools need to do, in my opinion, is go back to doing one of the things that they did best, or still do best. Have more play up the games that you already have. So you already have a great product. You don't have to take the beatings. Texas Southern played Rice and Toledo back to back in between playing Prairie View and Grambling.
Okay.
You played Toledo, you had to play these money games on the road, and Then your team came back and played competitive football all season. They didn't win the games that they should have won, but they did play competitive football. So in my opinion, and the only reason Deion, think about this, Deion got Hunter to come to Jackson State. Do you think that he came free?
What?
Paid to come to Jackson. He was going to, remember he was talking about going to Florida State or one of those
Yeah.
schools? And he has to.
That's why Saban got mad.
Yeah, that's why, because they knew that Deion allegedly had bidded them to get that young man, Hunter, to come to Jackson State. So.
Number
to
one
answer
player in the
your
country.
question- Right, yeah, to answer your question, I think you may see Ladarius Owens get drafted this year from Texas Southern, a running back. But see,
Okay.
think about what happened. You had a coach over there who was building a program. He was signing people from Houston.
Yeah.
Okay, you had 3 or 4 of those kids who came out of Houston who made all conference or who were the newcomer of the year. All 3 of them were out of the Houston area, but you run the coach off. See, people now are looking for an instant hit. Like I'm back in the day, I'm not looking for a wife. I'm looking for a girlfriend. You understand where I'm coming from. That's what that's the way. Think about it. They've fired 3. They've let 3. You got 3 coaching jobs left in the SWAC, and you've got 7 all total, 7 or 8 jobs all total left in black college football. But you're not giving people time. They say, well, you know, Coach McKinney had 5 years over at Texas Southern, but they don't look at the fact that you had COVID in there for a year and a half or 2 years.
Right.
And at
Okay.
Rice, Mike Bloomgren at Rice was interviewed the other day. He thanked the people at Rice for giving him a chance to go into his 6th season.
Mm-hmm.
He's in his 6th season, and he's never had a winning season.
Only 6 and 6 this year.
6 and 6 this year is his best, and he's going to a bowl game. But see,
That's
That's
right.
amazing. That's
you
amazing.
all, your generation, Eddie Robinson would get fired these days. But y'all operate I'm serious. We, in my opinion, didn't do we could have done better in regards to teaching you all more about why are these universities here?
Yeah,
These universities were put here to educate black people.
because we couldn't go further.
Yeah, not the, you got some of your alumni, they want to be in the football business. They want to be like Jerry Jones, and they've got chicken feed money, if you understand what I'm saying. They want to be like Jerry. They want to run people away and run a program like that. Or they want to do like Michigan and the Texas A&M, Penn, U of
Can't
A,
do it.
and they can't do it. So to answer your question, it's going to be hard to get, if you're not building a program.
Right.
And building like Ladarius Owens, 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a moment to build if you're gonna build them that way.
All-time leading rusher.
Yeah, it takes, yeah. But see, the coach doesn't get any credit for that because everybody's looking for a quick hit.
Gotcha. Ralph, you've been in this business for like 50 years now. My question now is, what inspires you, or who inspired you to take this path, this career path?
What inspired me? Well,
Yeah, who inspired you? Who inspired you to take this
what
career path?
inspired me was
Yes, sir.
when I remember I told you I first started, and they started letting me go to the Forward Times started letting me interview Astros. I got a chance to go to the Astro game.
Okay.
Then I got a chance to go to the Oiler games and the workouts. And I would go out there, and we're talking about 1960. You go out there and you didn't see anybody, or you saw 1 or 2 black people who looked like us. That's
Okay.
what inspired me. So you would go out there, and then I was inspired earlier without even knowing it, when Muhammad Ali's draft case was here, and I would go downtown and watch it at the Federal Building, and I wouldn't
Okay.
see I wouldn't see any
15
black
Rust.
reporters. Yeah, I wouldn't see any black reporters. So that's what inspired me. And then when I remember I told you I was going to the courts and covering the people in jail.
Yes, sir.
I watched, and I decided that if I took a tape recorder with me, I could get more out of the people because it was a flow. They could keep talking without me trying to write down what they were saying. They're on tape. And so now you go to the Oilers and they see a black guy out there with a tape. You're in Kerrville, Texas at the training camp. and they see a black guy out there with a tape recorder interviewing people, and the white guys are basically writing, unless the ones who were they were writing stuff down. Most of them were writing stuff down. So now you got people wanting you to interview them, and that kind of helped me. That inspired me. What inspires me now are to see all these black people in the business.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and to see women. See, when I first started, there were no white. The first woman I saw was Anita Martini,
Oh, yeah.
and she couldn't.
I remember her.
Yeah, Anita Martini couldn't eat in the Astros luncheon room because she was a woman. Think about what happened today.
Oh.
A white woman denied I could eat in there. We worked.
That's a twist.
You could take her food out there but she couldn't eat in the area. It was for white males, really. That's what it had been. Those organizations had been for white males. Football, basketball, and baseball, especially, had been for white males. So now you're trying to break the ice in the white man's business of reporting, and then you had to outwork people. See,
Yeah.
outwork people. I would get up and get a story anytime, and then I had another advantage on them. They didn't want to cover the high schools or the junior high schools.
Yeah.
Covered all of them while covering the pros. And see, so you outwork people, and your reputation takes off because they knew you, and then you get interviews with people they couldn't even get close to.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what inspires me. Then another thing that inspires me, I was given or whatever an award by a man who covered sports, but he died on the job.
Mm.
He died on the job covering sports.
Okay.
And he's 90-something years old. And he
Wow.
worked for the Baltimore African American newspaper. So you know that kind of stuff fire you up also.
Gotcha.
Ralph, roughly 3 years ago, you got inducted into the Radio Hall of Fame. Tell me, how does that feel?
That felt great to be inducted into because when I started this, I had no idea I was going to be in radio, right? I had no idea. A guy named Rick Roberts, who was the program director at KYOK, and later on became the general manager of KTSU, and Charles Porter, who was at KCOH. They saw something in myself that I didn't, and Skipper Lee Frazier, they saw something in myself that I didn't even know. Skipper Lee would have me on his program on Fridays to predict pro football games. And I was pretty good at it, but I didn't know he was winning money until Christmas. So
Gave you your little cutout.
That's pretty good.
You find out you've been blessed. So I feel great about being inducted into the Radio Hall of Fame with all the great people. And think about it, all the great people in Texas radio history, all kind of makeup, women, men, black, white, blue, and green. I feel great about that. But the one I feel better about is this one. This is a cap to the Texas Black Sports Hall of Fame. Now, when I was inducted to the Texas Black Sports Hall of Fame,
Yeah.
my class included Darryl Green.
Right.
Mm.
Saw that. on the
Yeah,
news.
Darryl Green, Leroy Burrell,
Mm-hmm.
and Ray Crockett. But most of all, it included Michael Irvin. And Michael, I never forget Michael Irvin said, "Hey man, these blanks giving us jackets. We get actually giving us jackets." So you know,
And that was before you went to the NFL Hall of Fame too, I think.
what's that?
Wasn't that before Michael
Yeah,
Irvin?
No, it was that. Yeah, no, this was afterwards. This was
Afterwards. Okay.
Yeah, this was in the last 2 or 3 years when we got
Okay.
when they gave us these awards. When they put
That's
inducted.
right. Yeah.
When they inducted us all at the same time into.
'Cause I talked to you the week after that. Yeah, I remember that.
So yeah, that Michael Irvin, he was just elated that somebody black was getting. And so those are some of the things that, and like I said, the younger people inspire me now. I'm inspired by younger people. To see people innocent, they remind me probably of what I look like. See, and I interviewed Red Fox, and I know I was with George Foreman. We was in Las Vegas for a fight, and he had a
Okay.
fight named Young Sanford, and that was his real name, Sanford. So he named his fighter Young Sanford. So
Okay.
he said, hey, he saw me. He said, hey, Blank, you with George Foreman? I said, yes, sir. He said, how you get with George Foreman? I said, I've been knowing him for a while. He said, look here, Blank, don't blank that up. He said, man, go be something. He said, you with him, the man you gonna be on a gravy train if you play that right. You go everywhere. That was Red Fox back in the day. So
It sounds just like him.
yeah, that was him, you know. So
Yeah.
all those different kind of deals back in the day, and stuff that you experienced.
Okay, Ralph, what would you rank the top 3 most memorable events that you've covered here in the Houston area? I know you went over to Africa to cover Foreman and Ali, but what would you say the most three of the most memorable events you've covered here in the Houston area?
One was in 1973, the one that changed tennis. The one that changed tennis
Billie
was Bobby
Jean.
Riggs and Billie Jean King. It was in the
Okay.
Astros. And
Okay.
I had been around tennis for a moment because of a friend who was on the Virginia Slims tour, but I had never seen anything like being in the presence of Billie Jean King and Bobby Riggs. Howard Cosell came in. It was on a weekday night, and they broadcast it live on ABC, and they really blew it out of, and to listen to Bobby Riggs talk all that noise about what he was gonna do to Billie Jean King, and you're in that male chauvinist thing, and then you talk to a friend who was a tennis player, and you ask her, do you think he gonna really be able to beat that woman? And my tennis friend say, and her name was Ann Kozier. She was one of the first blacks on the Virginia Slims tour. She said, he's gonna get the snot beat out of him. She's gonna beat the devil out of him. Just look at her legs, look at his legs. And you sure enough, you can see the difference.
Good point.
What happened. And that was a great event. That was like that was what I call the lamb chop event. I was introduced to lamb chops for the first time. What they had a party, and Jim Brown, and I ran into Jim Brown and George Foreman at that event, and they invited me to this party in a hotel on the corner of the Loop and Kirby right down here. The hotel is still there, but something else there. But at the top of it, the Judge Roy Hoffmans had a beautiful party room, and they had lamb chops. I had never had lamb chops before, and I paid the guy Philip like this. I paid the maitre d' or whatever. I said, hey man, here, take this. Give me about 10 of those where I can take them home. Wrapped them up and that kind of stuff. So that's one. The other one was Earl Campbell. 1978, Earl Campbell on a Monday Night Football game against.
I remember that.
Versus Miami?
Ran for 4 touchdowns.
Yep.
In a Monday Night Football game.
Mhm.
That's another one. And then the other one that would probably make that list would be see so many with Mike Scott of the Astros.
Okay.
The no-hitter.
The pitcher. Okay.
1980 or so. He pitched a no-hitter to put the Astros in the baseball playoffs at that particular time, a clinch division. So those are 3 right off the top of my head. And then another one in the Dome.
That's 4.
This one don't want the Dome to be teared down and made a place of memories. You had before the NBA and the ABA merged, you had an all-star game that they never talk about, where you had the ABA against the NBA. And you had all these great players came to Houston and played in this particular game.
Before the merger.
Yeah, before the merger. You had because some of us had never seen some of these guys in person, like Dr. J and all them kind of people. They came here and played that game here, and those were some of the things that still get my attention in regards to what happened back in the day.
Quick question. Let's go back to George Foreman.
Yeah.
You guys are pretty cool. My quick question is, Ralph, do you think you can help us get George for our show? We can bring him in and interview him. You think that's possible? What do you think?
At some point, I'll help you. I'll try to do that. He's dealing with some stuff right now, but I'll help you do that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate that. Ralph, I've noticed in the last couple of years, or actually the last several years, that the HISD schools, at least in the football, have not competed well when it comes to playoff times.
Right.
And my question to you is, what is it going to take for HISD to get back to where they used to be?
Well, they've already kind of started. If you notice this year, the teams that made the playoffs, I think out of the HISD, I think only maybe 10 teams out of the HISD made the playoffs. One was undefeated, Lamar. And you had two that was losing records. Most of them had winning records. Yates won 8 or 9 games, Worthing won 8 games. You had the teams, the athletic director, Andre Walker, who is a HISD product himself, Prairie View and Texas Southern, he's doing a good job of making it where they can be competitive. Now, what they've also got to do, and it's a lot of luck involved in that, when you have those coin flips for those playoffs, you've got to try to get more of them. Hopefully they can win some of the playoff when you flip the coins. Hopefully they can win when you get more of those games here. Worthing had to go down to El Campo, and you had Yates going. I mean, you've got to find a way. I think they're going in the right direction. It'll never be like it was. Not in our lifetime, because you had all those. Everybody lived in those neighborhoods then. Third ward was the fifth ward, and all of them had people then. And you look at the makeup now, it's changed. And people are also taking people from the schools.
Oh, yeah.
Be competing for the school.
Gotcha. What biases or prejudices that you have suffered yourself in doing this job in your career?
I was at the Cotton Bowl when the first time I ever went to the Cotton Bowl. I'm up at the bulletin board, right? Looking at some of the stuff they had on the bulletin. This was a Cotton Bowl game in Dallas. And it was the Cotton Bowl. And this was in the early 60s. This was in the late 60s, early 70s, I'm sorry. Early 70s. So I'm at this Cotton Bowl game, and the guy comes up and says something about the trash can or something is over there. So I didn't say nothing to him. Yeah, that was, so the trash can is over there. So I just ignored it. Later on, somebody else heard him, and later on he came and apologized. And so you ran into that kind of stuff. Then you run into, they didn't want to give you press passes. See, that's why I tell people press passes are precious to me. Now, I got press passes. I remember Ali fought here in 1971. So you have to kind of get to know people. So the PR guy was a Russian. And the Russian and I became real good friends. His name is Murray Goodman. His name was Murray. He's dead, deceased now. So Murray Goodman was over all those big fights for Don King and Bob Arum, all the Ali fights and everything. So while most people looked at him as an old grumpy white guy, right? White Russian, him and I became friends. And then I found out what his weakness was. You never would have guessed what his weakness was. Not women, not money. He loved barbecue.
Okay.
So I gave him some barbecue one evening. I took him some barbecue, and that started. After that, he would give me money. He said, "They got better barbecue than that here." I said, "Oh, they got all kinds." He would give me money to go get him barbecue. So we were real good friends. So now, I'm trying to get a pass to cover the fight, right? This is the first pass I got to cover one of those Ali fights. So I had filled out all the forms and everything. He said, "I'm gonna take care of it. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna take care of it." He kept telling me that. But at the same time, he kept giving me 20 here, 30 here to bring in barbecue the next day or the next evening or whatever. So now it comes to the fight day. So Bud Johnson, remember Bud Johnson?
Oh,
yeah.
They all got their press passes. And so when he gave me my press pass, he said, "Look at that and see if you're satisfied with it." That's what the Russian told me, Murray Goodman. He said, "Look at your pass and see if you're satisfied with your pass." So I looked at it, and I didn't tell nobody else what he had done, right? So now when you go out there and you sit in your seat, because I went out there to see where I was really gonna be sitting, I go out there and sit in my seat, and they just, Bud Johnson and some of the other black people, and white people probably too, they just thinking I'm just sitting there, just to see what that looked like. That's not my seat, right? Until the fight. Now it's fight there. And I go to my seat, I'm ringside, right? The man that hooked me up, I'm ringside. I'm really right near him. I'm ringside, and he got me hooked up, and they all wondered how in the hell did he get a seat like that. And the man and I became great friends when I would go to fights, and if I needed a place to stay, he told me I could always stay with him.
Mm.
He would just
Oh,
let him know
okay.
in advance, and he'll have a room for me, all that kind of stuff. And see, then he said something that was a compliment. He said, "I've never seen a guy like you." I said, "What you mean?" He said, "Most of the guys, they gonna have women calling the room all night." He said, "You only have your mama." Only your mama. So
Uh,
I was
okay,
yeah.
okay, Ralph, we running into some time constraints. I got about 4 or 5 more questions, and then we're gonna bring it to a close.
Sure.
Let's see. What are your thoughts, Ralph, on the Texans? I mean, right now they're sitting at 6-5,
This is
with 6
important.
games left. What do you
This-
think? What do you think? You think gonna make the playoffs or what?
We got a good chance, but what's good about this is to see, I was around when there were no black coaches, not even assistants, no black ball boys, no black equipment men, nothing. The only thing black were the players, right? So
Right.
so to see all of this happening now, where you got a young 39-year-old man, whatever he is, D'Amico Ryans coaching this team, is huge. And then you see young C.J. Stroud step in, and not only is he doing things on the football field, but he's thinking about other situations, the one involving his father who's incarcerated, etc., and then helping other people. And then you think about this. When you started, when you were a kid, you never thought you would see what we had in Houston. Dusty Baker managing the Astros,
Exactly.
Nico Rise doing this, and then you got Emi Udoka coaching the Rockets. To see 3 black males
Yes,
doing
sir.
all this. See how some of you all know, you don't understand. Some of you this is huge. To have 3 black males,
It
and then
is, it's amazing.
you got 2 black general managers.
Exactly.
You got Dana Brown, and then you got Stone, Raphael Stone.
Right.
Rockets.
Raphael Stone.
See all
Right.
this stuff going on. Then you got a lady like Paula Harris,
Right.
Harris McCann or whatever, over the Astro Foundation, throwing money out all over the place. And you all want to act like I'm supposed to be not elated? Yes, I'm
No,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
Hey, Ralph, who do you think is going to succeed Coach McKinney over at TSU?
Well, you got a number of people after the job. Now, they claim that they want somebody with experience with the HBCUs, and they don't want some people over there want they're looking for a clone of Deion Sanders.
Mhm.
They're not going to find that. You got
Right.
Fred McNair. Fred McNair, I understand, is interested in the Texas Southern job. He's the head coach over at Alcorn.
Mhm.
And won championships in the SWAC, HBCUs. That
Okay.
would be a good one. Then you got Brett Maxey, who played football at Texas Southern, played in the NFL for 12, 13 years, been a coach, but he has never been a head coach. That's one of the things they may use against him, but he may be a great choice. And then you got another coach that they just ran. 2 out of the last 3 years or 4 years, this man played in the SWAC championship game, took his team to the SWAC championship 2 times in the last 3 or 4 years. He's looking for a job. Eric Dooley.
Yeah.
So you got good
Okay.
choices out there.
Okay.
And you got Keenan McCardell's, you got the Andre Johnsons. I understand it just depends on what people want to do. In my opinion, they should have kept Coach McKinney for another year or 2. He was building something. They got a little bit antsy in the pants and decided to make a move. Look at the youngsters. 16 people involved in the Texas Southern University football program are getting degrees this month. 16
Yeah.
people, 13 of them are football players. And many of them are from Houston. So but hey, people get antsy in the pants. You know how you all are. Be patient, okay? Be patient.
Okay, Ralph, this weekend, actually tomorrow, you got Prairie View A&M University going up against Florida A&M University for the SWAC championship.
And most people are picking Florida A&M because they haven't lost but 2 games in the last
10-1. They're 10-1. Yeah, they're 10-1. We're a huge underdog. What do you think it's going to take for PV to win that game?
PV 45-7 the first time they played
Right.
this, 45-7. Now most of the
Right.
audiences have Prairie View picked to lose by 20. I like both coaches. I'm a coach guy also. I like both coaches, Willie Simmons and his staff up at Florida A&M, and Bubba McDowell over at Prairie View, of course. The best talent is in Florida. The game is in Florida, but my heart is with Prairie View. I hope they can find a way, if they can slow it down and stay in the game, they've got a chance to win. But if Florida A&M likes, they enjoy jumping on people early, although they didn't jump on Texas Southern. Remember, they
No,
came from
TSU,
behind to beat
yeah.
TSU.
Yeah, that was a good game.
So, yeah, so Prairie View has a chance, but I've got to pick Florida A&M. They're at home.
Okay.
Yeah. they're-
Well,
Uncle Rap, I got one more question for you, and then I'm gonna call it a day.
Yes.
All right. You've been at this business for 50 years.
Yeah.
All right. My question is, are you planning on retiring anytime soon?
I've always been retired. I never really worked.
You like the job so much.
No, this is not, think about this. I've had a pro football pass since 1970, 71, right? I've had a Major League Baseball pass since the same time, 70, 71. I've had passes to see the University of Houston, Rice, lately Houston Christian, Texas Southern, Prairie View. I've had, and then I can just about go to any event that I want to go to. This has been like a vacation. This has been a joy. Like I told you all, you really.
And thanks for the tickets, Ralph.
Yeah, I really enjoy in just being around younger people who are doing things that inspire you. You want some inspiration. I don't want to be around old stagnant people. Solomon, how many wives?
The concubines.
I want as many friends as Solomon had wives.
That's a lot.
Inspiration.
Oh
You
my
understand where
goodness.
I'm coming from? Yeah.
That's a lot.
You get inspiration from the younger people, the innocent, and it's good to see so many young people trying to do the right thing. Everybody talk about the young people doing the wrong thing.
Yeah,
I just 16 people involved in the Texas Southern University football
that's
program
amazing.
are about to have degrees next month. I don't even think they realize how big that is.
And they went
Outstanding.
years with nobody getting degrees.
Right, and then you think about this. Nobody mentions that happened under Coach Clarence McKinney and his staff. They only look at the W's and the losses
it.
in regard to football games.
And
But
people
they-
in the crowd.
You got 16 wins over there when you think about the people who are about to graduate. So I hope that made some kind of sense. I really thank you people for tolerating me on a Friday night. I remember times I wouldn't do this on a Friday.
No, I know that, Ralph.
Well,
And-
Ralph,
Yes,
well,
honey.
Ralph, we really appreciate you. We really appreciate. Actually, I have some more questions, but we'll run out of time, Ralph. I really, really appreciate you coming in and giving us an opportunity to talk with you. Perhaps we can do this again, maybe a few months later, because I have a lot more questions. So,
Well,
but we really
I want
appreciate you.
I want to thank the engineer I have on this end. See, like I told you earlier, we have to give the younger people a shot.
Absolutely.
This is Wilson. What's your first name, Wilson?
Wilson
Wilson. What's your last name then?
Cheney's.
Wilson Cheney's?
Cheney, yeah.
Cheney. Wilson Cheney is the producer of the program. Come around here and let the
Mm.
people look at this. He think he's back in the day.
Hey, how's it going,
So
guys?
Wilson,
Hey,
Back in
what's
the
up,
day-
Brother,
brother?
how you doing?
Back in the
good
day.
job, Wilson. You got Ralph ready for us. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Trying my
Thank
best.
you.
We'll get you ready down the line,
Thank
Wilson.
you.
Stick with him.
Gotcha.
Thank you all very much. Go straight home now. Y'all go home.
Yes, sir.
Well,
Yes, sir.
well,
We appreciate you,
Get
sir.
out of these streets.
I bet I
Thank
can
you.
go catch you somewhere right now.
I'll be all right.
All
Yes,
right.
Sports Legends, we appreciate
bet
it.
you.
Okay.
Southwest Sports Legends.
No, I'm all right. Thank you very much. And I
Thank you,
appreciate
sir.
all of the accolades, okay?
All right. Thank you. And congratulations again on being voted to the Hall of Fame.
Okay, thank
Well
you very much.
deserved.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
We look forward to our next Sports Legends, and we'll inform everybody when that'll be. We thank
When,
you, brother
when,
Ralph Cooper.
You take my address to send me the check.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Give it to Philip.
Sounds good.
Give it to Philip.
Sounds
Give it
good.
to Philip.
Give it to me. Yeah, I'll take it to him.
All
Yeah,
right.
It's in the mail.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
Give it to
Take
me.
care, Ralph.
Keep up
Take
the
care.
great
Thank you.
work.
We'll see you
Keep up the
next
great
time.
work with the podcast. Thank you. Keep it up.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Ralph.
you.
Appreciate it.
All right.
I'll send that to your site also, sir.